Attorney General Pam Bondi seemingly demanding that Minnesota hand over the state's voter rolls after federal immigration officers shot and killed an American citizen for the second time this month. In a letter to Governor Tim Walz, Bondi outlined 3 steps he should take to, quote, restore the rule of law in the state amid ongoing ICE operations and the subsequent protests.
Bondi asked that the governor first share all of the state's records on Medicaid and food nutrition services to allow the feds to investigate the fraud claims there, and then he said that they should repeal the sanctuary city policies in the Twin Cities. But it was the third action that she listed that's catching attention here in Washington. She also asked the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ to be allowed to access the state voter rolls to, quote, confirm that Minnesota's voter registration practices comply with federal law. Here was Bondi explaining that letter on Fox.
I do not understand these people. We sent Governor Walz a very strong letter today. We had been working on this letter. We got it out saying that he better support President Trump. He better support the men and women in law enforcement, because if he doesn't, we are. And that's what we're doing right now.
Were there any consequences in this letter?
Well, we'll see. This is fluid. Let's see how Governor Walz responds.
This is not the first time the Trump administration has attempted to get their hands on state voter rolls. Last year, the DOJ began trying to build the largest set of national voter roll data ever from all 50 states. 11 of those states complied. Minnesota repeatedly declined to turn over their rolls, citing a state law preventing the transfer of private information.
But Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar seems to think Bondi's renewed focus on voter rolls is indicative of something bigger. Omar posted on X, quote, ICE will leave Minnesota if you hand over your voter rolls. Tells you everything you need to know. This was never about immigration or fraud. It was always about rigging elections. It's important to note that in no place in the letter did Bondi explicitly promise ICE would leave Minnesota or stop operations if Walz complied with the letter, but many Democrats echoed Omar's concern. Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego writing in his own post, that's a shakedown. They're using fear to get their hands on voter information. In America, you don't get to strong arm your way into elections. And Senator Chris Murphy doubled down. Check it out.
This has never been about public safety. Minneapolis is a much less safe place today because ICE is there. This is likely about trying to rig and steal the election. Donald Trump is wildly unpopular. He is not committed to democracy. And he knows the only way that his movement is to retain power, the only way that his corporate allies retain power, his billionaire allies retain power this November, is for Trump to steal the election.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is not about rigging the election. This is about making sure the election is not rigged. This is about making sure the people voting are eligible to vote, are not voting multiple times, and are not illegal immigrants. And the reason we have those questions is because there's a massive fraud underway in the state, and the state can't be counted on to collect proper information and to make sure the right people are getting the right welfare and health care and all of those kinds of things, the non-aid from the government in form of the COVID payments. So that's why they want the information. That seems perfectly valid to me, and a bit telling that Democrats are going to set their hair on fire over what? Over that?
It's not odd that people are looking at President Trump, the same person that denies the legitimacy of an entire election continuously in 2020 and says, oh, what is the inclination here, even though he still won't stand there today and say that he lost the election and wants more information. So this is somebody who has perpetuated unsubstantiated claims, now wants access to information. I was reading the New York Times, and this is a highly unusual request, mostly because this is the thing that's assigned to states. They don't have to turn this over. You're going to give over driver's license numbers, social security numbers, sensitive personal identities, which we know can be used in any type of way to determine how the president feels about attacking certain.
They want to make sure they're eligible voters.
No, that's not but you just want to trust Trump at his word. He's shown us time and time again that his administration should not always be trusted.
No, I want to not just trust Minnesota at their word.
Yeah, well, I don't think the solution is to now request states to hand over all information, because the Constitution dictates that elections are run by individual states, not Washington. So why do they need to turn over all this information?
That's true up to a point, but are the fate of who becomes the president over all of us is determined disproportionately by votes in these handful of swing states. Michigan and Minnesota's one of the more important swingier Midwest states. It's not Pennsylvania or Michigan, but it's up there. So it matters a great deal for the rest of the country if they're letting. And they're going to say, we're not going to allow the feds to come in and do immigration enforcement. Then the feds are going to say, okay, well, then we at least need to see your voter rolls and make sure everyone voting is legal, that does not seem unfair to me at all.
Well, I think when you're looking at immigration and the fact that 2 people have died in a month, and your response when Waltz and the president have yet to meet until after she's made these statements. I mean, the president and Waltz met.
People died, and now so I don't get to know if the voters are legitimate?
Let me finish. The president and Waltz met and had a seemed like amenable conversation to figure out a solution forward. Pam Bondi going on Fox threatening Waltz and saying he better respond. That is childish and petty. And now you're conflating every issue you have with Minnesota in your response to the people dying in Minnesota. So that's not a proper response. Like, do you want to get illegal criminals that you're calling them out of a state, or do you want to look at the voter rolls? Because if you want to do something else, okay, but you should focus on the action at hand, because you lost 2 lives in a month, American citizens' lives, based on ICE being in the city and the response to that. And we're trying to figure out if that was an appropriate response or overly aggressive response. And your investigation is flawed, blocking out local officials, and you're worried about voter rolls. So it's really like Pam Bondi, as your entire team diminishes.
You can't distract me on this.
I'm not distracting you. I'm saying they're distracting everyone else in the administration who can't handle the problem at hand properly. I don't see how they can switch over to all these other requests and go on TV talking tough, and they can't talk to a person, a leader in person, a local leader.
Well, that's my completely different from you, but problem with Pam Bondi and what she was saying there was like, we sent a letter, and even whoever that was asking that question on Fox was like, is that all you did? And she's like, well, very fluid letter, very powerful letter. And my sense is that conservatives are getting a little fed up with Pam Bondi in particular for being very apt to appear on cable news. She loves being a talking head, that there's not enough action, there's not enough arrest of corrupt figures, there's not enough actual fixing of fraud and voter fraud and things that should be concentrated on. So I think another strongly worded letter to Tim Walz is not going to blow anyone's socks off on the right.
That's a consistent thing that we're seeing across the leadership in the administration. They're all on television right after Renee Good was killed. They're all on television after Alex Preddy was killed, saying incorrect information, going on and on with these aggressive tones, and nobody's solving the actual problem. So when Waltz finally called the president last night, now we have Tom Homan coming in, being the adult in the room, the only one that was on TV, saying that we need to wait until this investigation plays out. And you have a variety of people from Kash Patel on that constantly get on TV
the feds to do
and
independent,
say incorrect information.
You would like the feds to do an independent investigation, I'm assuming, of the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, correct?
Yes.
Handled by the DOJ, correct? Who else would do it?
Yes, and local leaders should be involved.
Okay, local, yes. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying for the voter situation. They should be able to investigate whether the people voting in Minnesota are legitimate on the voter rolls.
We'll see what happens.
Up next, President Trump says the DOJ and Congress are investigating Representative Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing net worth. Don't go anywhere.